Hi, I'm Alicia Michelle, best-selling author and ICF-certified Christian mindset coach. I've helped tens of thousands discover how to build emotional confidence using practical, science, and scripture-based mindset tools. If you're ready for less overwhelm, healthier relationships, and more calm and freedom in Christ, you are in the right place. Let's get started. Hi there, and welcome to today's episode of The Christian Mindset Coach with me, Alicia Michelle. There is a subject that we are surrounded by in the church, but we aren't quite sure how to manage, and that is grief. We know people in our sphere, people that maybe we sit next to at church service, maybe our neighbor next door, maybe our mom, maybe our sister, maybe a dear friend. We know people who are walking through some sort of grief or loss, and we sincerely care about them, but we don't know what to do with that in a practical way. We can pray, which is powerful. Prayer is important and much so needed for those of us who are walking through seasons of grief. But we wonder, how do I show up? How do I love them? How can I be truly God's hands and feet to them in this without feeling weird or awkward? That's what this conversation is today on the podcast. I invited my friend Sherrie Pilkington, who I've known for a long time as a podcaster. She has a great podcast called Finding God in Our Pain. And she recently started a business to address grief and loss. And it all stems from Sherrie's story of losing her husband at age 53 after 32 years of marriage. It was just unexpected, out of the blue. And her grief journey since then has been about helping others manage grief, helping others see that there is light on the other side of it, that God is still present. And now with this new aspect that she's created, it's called Sealed with a Hug. It is a subscription box that you as a giver can give to someone going through grief as a very practical way to help them. I love Sherrie. And when I heard about what she was doing, I said, will you please come on the show and share about not just about this box stuff that you're doing, because it's really powerful. I think it's really cool. But what are things that we can say to truly be a help, to not be that awkward person, someone who is getting in the way of hindering the grief? How do we manage this well? I'm excited for this conversation, for you to hear Sherrie's story and to hear about what she's doing now, and to ask if this is something that is meeting a need for you in your life, to reach out to her and get involved in this side of ministry that is a little different, but still so needed. So here's the conversation with Sherrie. Hey, Sherrie, thanks for coming on the show today. I really appreciate that you are going to offer these very practical ways to deal with grief, because as I was just saying, I feel like it's one of those things where we want to help people, but we don't know what to say. We don't know how to walk through this. So thanks for coming and sharing your story and giving us some ideas.
You're very welcome. What an exciting opportunity to have this conversation and get this business launched. So I'm excited. Thank you for having me
Yeah,
on.
you're very welcome. Well, someone doesn't launch a business around grief without having a story related to grief. So can you share your story with the listeners and how you came to this ministry?
I certainly can. Isn't it interesting that God takes the very thing that was supposed to break you and
Hmm.
turns it into something more beautiful, gives it some sort of redemption value to it? So for me, I unexpectedly lost my seemingly healthy husband in February of 2018, a few
Mm.
days before his 53rd birthday. He had gone to work that morning and called me later to say he did not feel well. He said, I'm going to try to get something to eat. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to go home. It was very unusual for him to not feel well. But I thought, okay, we've been traveling. Maybe he picked up something. He called me to say, hey, I tried to eat. It's not working. I'm going home. So I said, okay, I got one more stop. I will go by the grocery store and get ginger ale, crackers, soup, things I thought
Yeah.
might help his stomach. But the next time that I would see him would be in the hospital to identify him because he had a cardiac arrest, a massive heart attack on the way home. He had left the city part where our business is at and gotten into the rural part where our home is at. He knew something was going on and got into a field. He came in kind of hot because there was mud all up underneath the truck. There were so many things that I was thankful for, even in death. And I say this now, God is kind even in death. You have to look for it. but it's true that he is kind. Our ditches out here, you can get your vehicle in, depending on the size of your vehicle, you can get it in there. His truck, if it had gone in on its side, no one would have been able to get to him to help him. But he had gotten into the field, and even that is interesting because there's a lot of chains up to keep people out of the fields and things. So he gets in the field. One of the farm boys noticed him go into the field and he was carrying buckets and he said, Mr. Larry, why are you, to himself, what are you doing in the field over there? So he puts his things down, gets in his truck and he goes over. He sees that my husband is in distress, but he cannot get him to acknowledge him at the window. And my husband does collapse in the cab, and the young man goes around to the back seat, which I thought was so kind. He broke the glass, but the reason he did that in the back seat was because he didn't want to get glass on my husband. I don't
Yeah,
know that I would
right,
have thought of that. I think
right,
I would have said, "Let
right.
me just get to him." I broke the glass on him. And being young, he's able to climb through the window because the truck was slightly lifted and unlocks the doors and drags my husband out and then calls 911. Sadly, they were not able to revive him and we did lose him. We had been together for a little over 33 years. It was shocking to me. It flipped my world upside down. I had lost family members, but nobody as directly as that.
Yeah.
It was like when you look at your life as a puzzle, it gets kicked up in the air and all the pieces go everywhere. It's not so much that you wonder if you'll be able to put the pieces back together. You wonder, will I ever find all the
Mm.
pieces? But
Wow.
you'll hear me say now that God speaks beautiful things in the dark because that was my experience, that He attended to me and cared for me in a place where my grief didn't look so godly at times. And I would imagine some people would say, that's not very Christian like at all. But the one thing I did find is that he never rejected me or turned his back on me. It felt like he just would absorb. He knew that my anger was pain. And I was giving it to him. I wasn't running around with my pain in the streets, if you will, saying, God's not good. God's doing this. God's doing that. I was coming to him and saying, your word says this. As believers, we have this framework. And so now we can question God
Mm,
about what his word says compared to who he
mm,
is. The biggest challenge for me in that grief period was to have the courage, and I do mean courage because it disrupts everything that I had built my life on. It disrupts and magnifies lie-based thinking. And so for me, it was the courage to actually discover God for who he was versus who I thought he should, could, or would be.
yeah. It's so interesting that you're sharing that at this moment because yesterday I was on a coaching call with someone who is struggling with anger. And one of the things that we were trying to work through is it okay to be angry at God for some of these things that have happened in our lives that are big losses, like what you're describing, or abuses, or just massive pains? What does that mean? I love that you just beautifully described that it's part of the journey to picking up the pieces is being very honest with God. God gives us space in his graciousness to say, let it out, let it out. Because we were not made to be in a world full of pain.
Mm.
We were made for a perfect world. So it makes sense that we would have these horrific, anger, grief, horrible emotions that are there. And that it would make sense that God would say, come to me and just let it out, versus somebody who is running in the streets saying, let me tell you why God is bad. And that's why I'm angry at God. I think there's a difference. And so in grief, there's that invitation to
Mm.
say, am I going to step into that side of it? Am I going to believe the goodness of God in the midst of this? Maybe that's why it's so hard for people who are on the outside trying to watch this, because it feels so out of control. That
Yeah.
obviously had to be a journey that you had to go on your own. Nobody could do that journey for you. It was you and God. But there is an element of support and encouragement that is possible for those of us around. So I love the ministry you're doing now. Why do you think we feel so awkward when someone we love is going through this? And how can we respond differently in a way that's going to give them space to have the anger and the things they need, but still feel supported and loved? What if you could step out of the noise, slow down your mind, and actually feel close to God again without leaving home? If your schedule, budget, or family responsibilities make it really hard to travel right now, listen, I want you to know you can still experience the heart of my San Diego beach retreat virtually. Our in person spots are almost full, but the virtual retreat option gives you everything you need to create your own deep rest experience right where you are. You'll join us live for all 3 teaching sessions, connect with other Christian women inside a private online community, and receive a detailed guide for creating your own personal rest retreat at home, from setting the schedule to designing the peaceful environment that you need. The Rest Retreat runs February 25th through March 1st, 2026, and your virtual spot gives you full access to the teaching and the community before and after the event, too. To learn more or to register, go to aliciamichelle.com/beach-retreat. Listen, if your soul is tired, overwhelmed, or craving renewal, this is your invitation to join me for an extended period of rest with our Father. Again, go to aliciamichelle.com/beach-retreat for all the details and to join us.
I think the main reason is that we weren't supposed to know death. It is not natural for us to experience it, and it disorients everything about our life. It brings to light the people around you, like what is their ability to handle your grief? Do they have what it takes to hold that up? Even God, when I was struggling with him, he was perfectly content sitting in the tension of my pain and not giving me an answer. But what I discovered later, when you get out of the immediate pain and look back, you say, oh my gosh, God, I didn't even know you were working there. He knew when I was looking for an argument and he would not engage me. He was so compassionate because he knew what I really wanted, and that was to have my husband back. But that wasn't going to happen. Rather than give me this rabbit trail to run down, because whatever his answer had been, I would have grabbed a hold of that. I would have focused on that, and I would have gone at him. He didn't give me an answer a lot of times. He just let me blow off steam and come to the end of what I was experiencing in that moment. And I thought that was very kind of him. He has the answer to my questions, but rather than prolong my pain, he would sit in the tension with me and catch my tears. He would let me struggle. But then what the breakthrough for me is when I was just one time just really lamenting with him. Lamenting to me means that we're pouring out our pain, but with hope because of who he is. So I feel comfortable and I feel safe telling him exactly how I feel because I know that he loves me and I know that he's attending to me. The breakthrough for me was when he spoke into my spirit, because I don't hear audible words, and he said, Sherrie. So he was firm but gentle, Sherrie. And of course, him calling me by my name, I was like, what caught my attention? Some things simply belong to me. And that was the answer. He didn't answer my question. He gave me this statement to say, Sherrie. And what I felt like he was saying is, do you trust me? Do you trust that I'm going to walk you through this? And so I just quieted in that moment. But what it did for me is it peeled away that layer. It was like the last layer of my need to have everything make sense, all my questions answered, everything add up so that I would feel better about what I was struggling with. And then the interesting thing for me was that now I could hear God. I could hear what he was saying. He was been trying to speak all along, but I was too busy coming at him with whatever pain point I had. I could hear him and I could walk more in step with him. I could receive and understand his heart deeper and deeper. And so today you'll hear me say, God speaks beautiful things in the dark. It's a long way around to answer your question. It's awkward and it's weird. Even the shortest Bible verse, Jesus wept. Now he's going up to Lazarus knowing he's going to raise him from the dead. And yet he is sad at the fact that there is death. So there's a sadness to that. Even Jesus recognized that. But everyone's different. Relationships are different. My sons grieve differently. Same father, same household, same rules, same everything, but they grieve differently. You can't even pinpoint it down to siblings or family members in a close knit relationship. What I learned that is the most helpful, and before I say that, I'll preface it with this: there is a certain amount of grief that you do by yourself. If you can't change my circumstance, you can't touch my pain, really. And who can bring back my husband? If the one who could have brought back my husband didn't bring back my husband, I've got nobody else to point the finger to or to come to and task for that. There is a certain amount of pain, but there is the danger of getting lost in your grief, becoming known for your grief. That is the only thing you focus on. Even when God wasn't answering my questions, even when God wasn't engaging me with what I wanted him to engage me with, I still felt his presence. It was his presence that transformed me. I asked, Lord, give me the beauty of your presence, because to me, that beauty is the fact that he is merciful, kind, loving, considerate, sincere. He's protective. So when I say, give me the beauty of your presence, when he shows up, that's what I get from him. And so in his presence is where it made a difference for me. So when people would just give me their presence, they didn't have to worry about saying the right thing. They didn't have to do anything in particular, but their presence was meaningful. The business I just launched, Sealed with a Hug, creates presence without pressure, because
Oh,
you show up in this gift box, but yet it's not a pressure to have a conversation, but to be remembered is huge for that broken heart, because it's what tethers you to the world outside of your pain. And that's why
right.
I think it's so valuable.
There's not a pressure. There's a presentation of me saying, I'm present in your life. You can engage in any way that feels comfortable for you and at the pace that feels comfortable for you. I want you to know that I can't carry this for you, but I'm walking beside you. It is very valuable for someone going through deep levels of grief. I think that's also a gift to the giver, the person wanting to help someone through grief, because they may be so desperate to help this
Yeah.
grieving person and they have no idea what to do. I pray for her or him, but I don't know what else to do besides
Right.
that. So, this box that you have created is really filling a need. So, before we go any further, can you explain a little bit about what the box, the Sealed with a Hug business is that you've created and how it's changing lives already?
Yeah. Sealed with a Hug. It was a spinoff. Do you remember SWAC, Sealed with a Kiss? You're
I
much younger than I
do.
am, but we used to write it on our
That
little
was like,
middle
well, yeah,
school
I'm like
love
junior
letters.
high. Yes.
Sealed
Yeah.
with
With a kiss.
And
Yes.
so sealed with a hug, because what we're doing is we're sending representation of just a warm hug, a comforting hug, considering that we don't know who exactly would be sending to the griever. That's how I differentiate. The giver is my customer. The griever is the one the giver has decided to send that box to. I just did sealed with a hug. I don't think I could have taken sealed with a kiss. I don't know if that's even patent or whatever, but I thought it was more comforting for a hug. The purpose behind that is it is an affordable, consistent, and effortless option that keeps you showing up, even though your life is full of demands and responsibilities. Truth be told, the one who's grieving, their life has come to an abrupt halt and has been
Right.
completely obliterated until they get back into what would be considered their role. We on the outside, it has not changed for us. People still expect us to show up. Our kids, schools, church, all of those things still expect us to be there. You can still send this gift once a month. It's a 12-month subscription, because I really want there to be a consistent effort in showing up, because that was what made the difference to me. I had several friends send a card, send flowers, and one friend in particular who sent a gift once a month for at least 4 or 5 months. And every time she sent that gift to me, I can't tell you what it meant to be remembered, to be thought
Mm,
of, to be
yeah.
comforted. It's
Right.
the thing that stuck with me many years after, that she showed up in that way. I would text her and say, thank you so much. I love you. And if I wanted to call her, I could call her. So it let me know she's thinking of me. She's open to conversation. But if I didn't feel like having a conversation, I didn't have to. And
Yeah.
so that consistent effort spoke volumes to me. It really was a lifeline to the outside world, helping me lift my head under the weight of the grief that I carried.
Yeah. And I think there's a part in when you're going through a trial or grief, especially where there is the survival side. I got to eat. I got to take my kids to school or whatever. I have the things that have to keep my life functioning. But then there's the human side. I'm still a person who is more than just a physical body with needs and responsibilities. When we were walking through a time of when my husband lost his job, he was out of work for 18 months. And during this time was also when I had the huge medical crisis. It was in 2017.
Yeah.
And everything was taken away from me. I had nothing. I could do nothing. I had to lay in bed, all these things. It was awful. I had friends, many friends, who very graciously came and bought us groceries and gave us dinners and flowers. Our church just came out of the woodwork and helped us. And then there was one person who, her gift to us is stuck in my head. She wanted to give us the gift of having someone come and clean our house. And I thought at first I was like almost insulted because I thought, try to say my house is not clean.
Right.
On top of everything else, I have a disgusting house. But it was, I think it was her way of saying, do you have to have a clean house during this period? No. But do you want to feel human? Like
Mhm.
my bathrooms are not horrific because
Mhm.
we were so busy on just getting me well and finding my husband a job, like taking care of the kids and homeschooling, like it
Yeah.
was not on the list. But to feel like someone saw that human side of
Mhm.
it and was like, let me help you in this. And I feel like that's what you're offering with these boxes is this person probably is at the, and especially since they're past the very first part where
Mm.
everybody's there, 6 weeks of
Right.
meals, that sort of thing. And now 2, 3 months in, people don't ask you anymore. Maybe it doesn't have to be a death, right, Sherrie?
Correct.
Grief
There's
or hard
many
time,
types of deaths.
many types of deaths and stuff. So it could be that there's some sort of other loss or something happening. People, not in a mean way, but they'll stop asking
They will.
because, like you said, we're going back to our regular lives and we forgot about so and so. They really are struggling. This is the consistency, like you said, the
Mhm.
ability to have it consistently set. I love that you give the giver options to be able
Yeah.
to change who the receiver is. You give them a chance to say, after maybe 3 months, I feel like this other person might be someone who I'd like to help focus on instead.
Yes.
So does the giver get the box? Does the griever get the box? How does that system of it work?
You, as the giver, would get into a subscription. You go into the link, purchase the subscription,
Mm.
and leave a credit card on a secure website. I don't have anything to do with that. Every month on the first, we would pull from your credit card and then mail the box to the griever on
Okay.
the 15th. And your return address is on the box. So if anything happens in transit,
Ah,
you get the box back in your hands. So
got
you don't have to
it.
wonder where it is. Did it get there? That kind of
Yeah.
thing. And then you can decide what to do to it. Let's say this month, if it came back to you, you could give it to someone that you could hand deliver it to, or you could reship it. And a 12-month subscription, you have the original person that you ordered it for, and then 2 additional times that you can change that address or person. Typically, there are things that we try to address the five senses over. Any one of the
Okay.
five, all five would be a winner. We look at grief recovery focused, and every month
Mm.
there'll be a card in here, and it's an invitation from the Lord to sit with him. This is the word of the month, this particular box, and I forget which month this is, but every month we'll have a word. And inside of that is a letter, an invitation from the Lord to come and sit with him. And it's going to address something about peace. And then it
Mhm.
says in the end, with every drop of my blood, Jesus. And it's just a reminder to give him your pain,
Yeah.
to give him an opportunity to speak into what you believe about him in the context of pain and suffering. Also, with that is a scripture card.
Mm.
That will be synced with the word peace. And then you
Mhm.
have a little wooden stand that you can put this on. You can even set that in it if you wanted to and put it somewhere where you would see it often. So every month there's a custom made card. And the woman is out of Utah. She does a fantastic job. I love her work. And she'll have us, and there's a scripture card with it too. With the cold months coming up, a soup bowl. And look, it's got the little steam release on it.
That is really cute.
And the lid comes off. It's nice and snug. That's a good thing. So you don't spill your soup on you. It has a little ceramic spoon that goes right in the handle.
Oh,
Check it out.
that is so cute.
And then the piece that I love is the koozie that goes on the soup bowl.
Oh my gosh, how cute. Oh,
And
wow.
what
And
you
these
get?
are really, they're quality things that you're putting in these boxes. These are not like little tchotchke sort of things. Like
Right.
this is very practical. Someone in a cold month, giving them a warm cup of soup and just a special way for them to have it. I think that's
Yes.
amazing.
Now, here's an example of the fact that when I look at things, I look at it through a grief recovery lens. The farmhouse chicken noodle soup. I love this woman's ministry. A portion of her proceeds goes to helping families in need. I knew the soup was going to be good. It's got great reviews. But when I got it, it says farmhouse chicken noodle soup for two. Now, if you've lost a
Ah,
loved one, that's just one more reminder of the fact that there's only one now. What I did was I bought little plastic stickers, had them printed, and now it says for 2 servings. So
Okay.
it breaks the
Yeah.
spotlight, the fact that it's for 2.
But
Now
Sherry,
for
you do something else, which I think is awesome. She included a container of pepper jelly along with a recipe card so that someone could basically take the jelly and put it over cream cheese, have crackers with it. It was an easy way to say, hey, invite a friend over without any fuss. Here is a way for you to have real life conversation and an excuse to say, hey, want to come over and have a cup of tea with me and a little
Yeah.
snack.
Yeah.
So you're giving them that chance to not just receive in the privacy of their time with Jesus, but a chance to say, here's a really low effort way for you to have a nice moment with someone that you care about that can be with
Right.
you.
And us as ladies, if this person is to get a invitation, let's say the holidays are coming up. Let's say they get an invitation to come to Thanksgiving dinner. Half the time they won't go because I don't even know what to fix. There's nothing in my refrigerator. I'm not doing it. But yet all you need is a block of cream cheese and crackers, and you show
Mm,
up with something that people will love and enjoy before the food is served. So
yeah.
you're still being helpful. You're showing up with
Yeah.
something in hand. I think that bridges the
Mm,
opportunity for connection, whether you invite the
yes.
person into your home to enjoy it or you show up with a dish in hand. It's helpful. Same thing with the December box.
Mm.
There's dill mix in there. So all they need is the cream cheese and mix it together and show up with crackers. It's simple, it's light, it's easy, but yet it's filling and purposeful.
And I want to go back to as the giver, whether you're doing a box like this or not. Oh, I think the biggest fear is that we're going to say something weird. We're going to say the wrong thing. We're going to make their grief worse, that we can't, what am I going to do? So, what sort of advice would you give to that person who's intentionally wanting to be kind and helpful, but has no idea how to do that?
And you will say awkward stuff and you'll say the wrong thing. And the person who's grieving, they'll receive it, or at least the times that I've known, and for myself personally, they receive it with grace because who
Mm,
knows what to say at a time like that. But a lot of times it's not helpful. And if we're going to say something, we really want to be helpful. Our goal behind such things as when somebody's talking about their grief and you're like, I went through that and I'm okay. The heart behind it is that you want them to know, hang on, it's going to get better. But
yeah.
in that moment, it sounds like you're trying to one up somebody. And
Mm,
the fact remains that you don't know what they're going through. They
right.
have an idea. You may understand the roller coaster ride, but you don't know what that person is personally carrying or doing. So there are some suggestions, even on the Facebook page and Instagram page. There are some suggestions, the 3 do's, 3 don'ts, and 3 phrases to change. In the 3 phrases to avoid, here's one: I'll be here for you. And also, there was, how can I help? So, those types of statements or questions should be replaced with something that is more realistically doable in your life. And what I mean by that is take a task that you do and double it. I even say offer to take the kids out for ice cream or to the park because sometimes just a few minutes, 30 minutes, an hour in your own house where you can vent your pain without scaring your children or scaring other people in your house, it's huge. It really
Mm.
is huge.
Yeah.
And
So
it's
being
helpful.
more practical, not saying I'm here for you whenever you need, but I'm
Mhm.
thinking what could be helpful? Like, would it be helpful for me to take the kids this week or pick up the kids twice when I pick up my son?
Offer something that you're already doing that could fit in. You can
Okay.
certainly go out of your way and offer to do something, but be specific. Don't just say, let me know what you're doing on Saturday. They don't even know what they're doing on Saturday. Surviving is what they're going to be doing on Saturday. So my thing is to say, hey, I'm going to come on Mondays. I know Monday night's trash is picked up Tuesday morning. I'm going to come put your trash out on the curb, or in the morning I'll take it, or in the afternoon I'll take it back. I'm going to be cutting grass, or can I send someone over to cut your grass?
Mm,
Because you can coordinate with other people who are available or
sure.
willing to do that. So you
Yeah.
can coordinate. A minute ago, you mentioned about cleaning your house. If the house is too much because it's just overwhelming to have people in your things and you already know your house is blown up because you haven't lifted a finger to put anything where it belongs, then can I clean your bathrooms? That
Sure.
alone is
Yeah.
huge to have your
Yeah.
bathrooms clean.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
always a specific task if
Mm,
you're up for it. And it doesn't mean you have to have this in depth conversation about grief. So the pressure's not there.
mm,
Here's something I hope a lot of
yeah.
people realize, the giver anyway. You can't heal them. There's nothing you can do that will heal them. It's going to come from choices of their own and when and at the pace that they're ready in. But you can certainly show your support along the way, and that's going to look personable to how can you show up in a realistic way that doesn't have you left feeling like I should have called. Oh my gosh, I told her I'd come by today and I totally forgot. As an example, I had talked to my sons after my husband passed, and I said, would you guys feel like if we got your father a grave site and a tombstone, would you feel guilty if you never made it out there? So far, all of the people that I've lost in my family, I have not gone to their gravesite after they're buried. It did make me feel guilty. My boys both said almost simultaneously, yes, we would feel guilty if we had a gravesite and never went to
Yeah.
it. So we decided to cremate him. And now everyone has ashes. My boys used to hunt with him. They have ashes in a little necklace vial thing. And I have his
Wow.
ashes. So that was a way
Yeah.
to keep him with us all the time. Or at least it was an
Oh,
option for us
cool.
to feel a little
Yeah.
more like we hadn't forgotten him. One of the things I think people need to keep in consideration is where are you at in relationship with the person who is grieving? Because as we
Mhm.
mentioned, there are many types of death. There's the loss of a job because that impacts everything about your
Mhm.
basic needs, the
Mhm.
roof over your head, your insurance coverage, your vehicle, the gas, daycare, your bills. What about a physical ability? You've been in a car accident. So now you're limited, not being able to bathe yourself, not being able to feed
Right.
yourself. Even if
Yeah.
it's a season, then it is horrible. It's miserable and
Right.
horrible. The death of a pet, some people won't
Mhm.
rate that up there. I can't say that it's like losing my husband, but it's devastating. It just
It
crushes
is.
your heart. People grieve deeply over pets. What does it look like for you to show up? Are you an inner circle family or friend? And if you're inner circle, you can cross boundaries that a lot of people can't. You can say things because
Sure.
you've invested in that person. They know your heart behind what you say, and they know how you show up in their lives. And then there's also, as you step out a little bit further in this ring where you have access to this person, then don't show up saying things that are not helpful. And I've done it. Trust me. The reason I know now is because I have said the things that I'm like, I am never saying that again. Don't say they're in a better place now.
Or don't say God uses all things for his purposes. That's very true. But
Yeah.
at the
Amen.
moment, I would think that would not be very helpful. Would
No.
you agree with that?
I love Jesus. I love the Lord.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about my relationship with the Lord. But things like that at that moment were not helpful. I can't explain to you why they weren't. And when people said to me that, oh, he's in a better place, I received it. Thank you so much. But in my heart and in my mind, I was screaming, I don't care.
Want him
Yes, I know
here.
he's in a better place. I don't care. I just want him here.
Yeah.
But again, my point being, tread lightly, say
Mhm.
nothing, just show up, give a hug, drop flowers off. Flowers are one of the traditional gifts for someone who's lost someone or who's going through a difficult time. And I call it a season of loss and uncertainty because whenever we're separated from the things and the people and the pets and the jobs or whatever that we've identified with, we've had relationship with, there should be a grieving process. There
Right.
really should be. So it's coming alongside someone in that context of just saying in your own mind, how can I show up? What does it look like for me to blend this into my daily schedule, my
Yeah.
weekly schedule, my monthly schedule? These boxes show up once a month. Even my friend showing up once a month was medicine, salve to my heart.
Mhm. That's cool about the box idea is that it is not a one-off thing. So let's say you decide you're helping this friend for 3 or 4 months. She seems to be getting better. It keeps you in a place where you're looking for other people who might need that sort of ministry. You would become more aware
Mhm.
of God, I've invested in this as a way of ministry in this world, very practical. Who else is in my
Yeah,
sphere that maybe doesn't traditionally look like I lost my husband? That's pretty clear, obvious of
right.
grief. But like you said, going through a job loss, going through their kid was just diagnosed with cancer, just things like that, that can be the ability to reach out. Sherrie, tell us how we can learn more about the boxes about. I know you have a podcast too. So tell us about that and all the work you're doing. Because I know hearing this is powerful and people will want to take a next step.
That's exciting for me. And one thing I do want to add, I'm hoping that this model is something that can come alongside churches to help attend to their widows and widowers.
Oh, wow.
Because I didn't realize how focused church was on couples and families. But now on this side, I'm left
Wow.
trying to find ways to fit in, trying to find ways to connect. What I'm seeing, churches don't necessarily have anything to attend. And even if they had someone in their church that they know was going through that season of loss and uncertainty, it would be it. Because even inside the boxes, it doesn't say your spouse, it doesn't say your pet, it doesn't say those things. They're just grief focused.
What a great idea. Yeah,
Mm.
to have it from the churches, because if you think about, let's say you're a church and you're like, okay, we can think of 5 people in our congregation right now who are suffering. So we're going to invest in these 5 people and have it sent to them. We commit for 3 months and then we ask the Lord to show us someone else. What a
Yes.
powerful ministry that's really tangibly helping, that isn't really requiring anything else from the church to be able to be a tangible need.
Yes. And even when you sign up, there's a place where you can put a note to the griever. You can find me. The website is set up, but we are going through some revisions as we get this panel's feedback and we are looking at that 6-month subscription. Right now, the 12-month subscription is available and it's at Sealed with a Hug, all one word, of course, sealedwithahug.com. And that one subscription is up, but again, we're working on others. If you join, you put in your credit card information and then it is pulled once a month and the box is sent once a month. My podcast, Finding God in Our Pain, was born out of the loss of my husband because when
Yeah.
people shared their stories with me, I began to say, this is very helpful to my heart. This is helping me
Mm.
orient myself to a lot of different things. And I thought, what will other people, how will they benefit from hearing stories of who is God in the context of pain and suffering? Does he care? Does he enter
Mm.
in? What does that look like? How do people struggle with God and not sin? So Finding God in Our Pain, that is all of the main platforms of podcast platforms. Also my website,
Mm.
alifeofthrive.com. And then you'll find the podcast associated with that. That's like the home base, even for this Sealed with a Hug that's being
Yeah.
birthed.
I can attest. She's got a great podcast. I've been on there before too and shared, and she's just a very genuine person who is sharing her story and trusting the Lord to use it in a powerful way. So if you are walking through grief or you know someone who is, I pray you'll take some of the stuff that Sherrie's talking about here and maybe even take action to be a tangible person who can give light through something like these boxes that she's doing. Sherrie, thank you for
Thank
coming on
you.
today and sharing with us. We're so grateful.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Your
Yes.
friendship, your feedback, your comments, this time. You're amazing. You really
Oh,
are.
thank you, friend. Thank you. Friends, I've had a chance to look at some of these boxes that Sherrie has done. She graciously allowed me to be part of the team to give feedback. And she sent a box to me. Honestly, I wasn't quite sure what they thought at first of, is a box helpful? That was my perception when she first told me about it. And then after receiving one and looking through it, I was like, I really do think this would be a massive benefit for someone who is walking through a tough season, specifically loss sort of season. And God instantly gave me the name of a friend that I knew was walking through grief. And I said, I know who this box is going to be for. And I gave it to her. And to hear her response of just feeling seen, feeling that she wasn't forgotten, seeing these very tangible ways of how to process grief, how to know that God was present. It was a true blessing. I love the idea of that was talking about with churches. I had not even thought about that, but what a cool ministry for a church to, if you are involved in a church and you're like, man, what if we just had 10 boxes a month that we would decide here, we're going to support these people in this way. What a cool investment. You can even have your own private ministry if you decide to invest in 2 boxes and you're helping people in this season. It's just a powerful way for us to enter in the grief of someone else and be Jesus to them in that moment. I pray that you will check out what Sherrie is doing. Check out the podcast. Check out sealedwithahug.com to learn more about the boxes. If you are walking through grief, you'll check out some of the other podcast episodes, because I know that maybe you're listening to this thinking, okay, I need to be comforted because I'm the person going through grief. I'm the actual person. So I want to make sure that you have those resources to help you as you're walking through grief as well. Take care, friend. I hope this was encouraging to you as we talked about a tender topic, and I look forward to speaking to you more next week. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me today. For full show notes and helpful next step resources, visit aliciamichelle.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, I'd be honored if you would leave a 5-star rating and review. And remember, if you're feeling overwhelmed or stuck in your emotions, I offer free chats with listeners. Just head to aliciamichelle.com/chat. Tell me a little bit about what's going on, and I'll be in touch. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next week.